Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Alex with Alex Nutrition, and who I have with me here today is the certified health nut, Troy Casey. His little motto is "Healthy Me, Healthy Planet," and I'm here to bring you his words. I have a couple questions for him. We're going to do a little interview with him here, and we're going to see what Troy is all about and the vast, vast knowledge that he's acquired throughout the years of studying nutrition, fitness, going around the world, and just experiencing life, because this man is filled with life. And I just wanted to bring you his story and see what he's all about. So, Troy, what made you become the certified health nut?
Well, that's an interesting story in itself right there. So I guess there's two ways to answer that. One would be my history, and then the other would be when the idea popped into my head. So my history is that I was a Versace model sitting in Milan, Italy, in the late '80s, and I was, motivated to look and feel my best to make money for my career. And so that was 25 years ago. So since then, I've worked in the Amazon rainforest with plant medicine. I've studied all sorts of internal purification, cleanse and detox, herbal medicine, really just to help myself look and feel my best at every given moment and in front of the camera. And then I moved to LA and I became an actor there, and I did a lot of comedy, did stand-up comedy and improv. And so I always thought it was ideal to keep my instrument fine-tuned. And so, and then I started working in the Amazon with plant medicine there. I started working with an herbal company, and I was doing very powerful herbal medicine called ayahuasca. It's a shamanic medicine. And I was deep inside the Amazon, and the vision popped into my head of an amalgamation of my natural medicine studies, my on-camera career, and my comedy career. And the Certified Health Nut was born. And that was about 8 years ago. And when I came out of the jungle, YouTube was a new reality. And I had a lot of exotic footage that I had filmed down there, and I started posting it up on YouTube. And so some of my videos went, fairly viral in the beginning. A lot of my videos on ayahuasca are fairly popular in that subculture of the world.
That's interesting. I've always wanted to try ayahuasca. Actually, what's the experience like?
Well, ayahuasca is a very powerful experience. It's a very powerful herbal medicine. Physically, it's going to penetrate the liver, the gallbladder, the intestines. Potentially, you can purge, puke, shit your brains out. And depending on, the level of, skeletons in your closet, if you will, depends on what you're hiding from yourself, what you've repressed, maybe from issues that you've had as a child, trauma, abuse, and whatever you're willing to look at, it will come front and center. It's very similar to a system defrag. So it goes into your DNA and it takes out the files that are running and helps you look at them. And so, so if there's something running in your subconscious that you're not looking at, that's taking up a lot of your energy field, you will then have a choice to address it. You will have a choice to address it or continue to bury it. And so that's the best analogy that I know is really a system defrag if you're a PC user. So that, and it has a hallucinogenic component. But more importantly, it is extremely powerful. It's a powerful spiritual energy. You truly feel it. I've heard, atheists take it and they become God believers quickly. And so, it's not child's play at all. And a lot of people write me on the internet after watching and say they can get it on the internet on secured servers and stuff. And if that's your path, go for it. However, it's not child's play at all. And I recommend you utilize it with a skilled shaman.
Yeah, I've actually, if I were if I were to do it, I would probably go down to the Amazon and try it. I feel like that's the most natural way. I'd like to be around nature to actually try it and experience it that way. It's always the best to be in nature. I mean, I've done psychedelic mushrooms before years back, and that was probably the most scariest moment and the most happiest moment of my entire life. And I took them, and my friends were like, "Oh, you know, some people change on these and whatnot." And I changed, but I changed for the better. And actually, everyone's like, "Don't go by yourself. Don't go try to go to sleep. Don't do this. Don't do that." I did everything that everybody said don't do. I went and did. I pretty much went to my room, and I just laid in my bed, and I was in my head the whole time. And actually, ever since then, since I've done them again after that, it's kind of how I like to do them, because I get in touch with myself. You feel something inside of you, and I don't even know if this is, you know, relevant, but you hear these like messages. It's almost like ultimate you talking to yourself, kind of guiding you and telling you, "Hey man, you know, you're doing this right now. You shouldn't do that. You're doing this. Maybe you should move forward in this part of your life." And, you know, I try to tell everyone, like, you have this idea that you're going to hallucinate and this and that, but if you do them for the right reasons, it's a spiritual awakening. And actually, I've got a few friends lately that now want to try it after I tell them my story, what I've experienced from them. And it was probably the most profound thing. I mean, if you could experience like a pure love at a certain stance where you're just enveloped in this just purity, I kind of felt like that. I mean, have you ever done psychedelic mushrooms at all, or is that similar to ayahuasca or anything like that?
Yes, I've done quite a bit of mushrooms over the past 30 years. I think I've done a lot of mushrooms. I've microdosed, I've megadosed. I use them and abuse them. Not really. It's really hard to abuse mushrooms because it's such a profound tool. Mm-hmm. What it does to the brain. You know, there's a lot of misinformation about drugs out there. You know, the government got involved and vilifies these drugs and puts them, you know, class 1 category, felony, this, that, and the other thing. The fact of the matter is these things are, you know, as old as mankind itself, especially the mushrooms. And there's a lot of information on the internet that would tie them all into the religions. And this is where a lot of the visions and the information that a lot of the religious axioms or stories have been told is from shamanism and from psychedelic plant usages. So these things are very profound tools. And I think it's a good idea to get very educated on, you know, what drugs are, because the government will have you say that this is illegal and that's illegal. However, pharmaceutical drugs are plenty legal, and, you know, they're causing all sorts of problems with human beings. The number one, if you research it deep enough, the number one cause of death in the United States of America is properly prescribed adverse drug reactions from properly prescribed drugs and or medical malpractice. And so, you know, hospitals, doctors, this is where, you know, the number one cause of death is happening. And so, but because these industries are so massive, that type of information doesn't really get out to the public and well known. Pharmaceutical drugs are denatured. They're synthesized, and they are they're synthesized, and they the elements are extracted from them. So anytime you do that to a plant or anything natural, it creates an imbalance, and when you put those into your body, it becomes toxic. And that's really what, you know, pharmaceutical drugs are doing. And so, you know, when you take natural substances, of course, the poisons and the alkaloids, they have very powerful effect, but they're balanced out with the other polyphenols, terpenes, other alkaloids and micronutrients that help balance everything out. For example, apples have arsenic in it, but there's 10,000 nutrients in it, and it doesn't really matter. It's an apple, just eat it. You know, the government might want to take it apart and look at it and, you know, how much arsenic is in it. And it's like, well, it's an apple. Just eat it and enjoy it. You know, don't really think about it. You know, we want to dismantle all these things and take them apart, but that's not That's not necessary. We don't have to extract these nutrients to get the benefits. So anyways, back to magic mushrooms and hallucinogenics and psychedelic plants, entheogens, they are also called. These are extremely powerful tools. They help dissolve boundaries of our own, psychological prisons that we put ourselves in. Nationalism, religion, these other things, the economy, the way we should be getting, going to school, getting a good job, and being force-fed a lot of information that doesn't really apply to each individual, yet we all get that type of education. So once you start to take these plants, then basically if everybody was taking these plants, it would pretty much fuck up the economy.
I don't think they'd like that.
Yeah, and so what you have in the culture is that anyone who uses these natural drugs, they get looked down upon because it's vilified. But if you actually look at really who the big drug cartel is, it is the government, the politicians that allow these laws to be made, and then the pharmaceutical companies. And so this is really, what's happening. And I know a lot about this because working in the Amazon for many years, I understood all the research. 42% of all drugs and 25% of all cancer drugs get their impetus from rainforest plants, meaning they get their origins from rainforest plants. But again, they extract those alkaloids, they standardize, they synthesize, and then they patent them. And so, if you take the natural plant in its natural state, or the best herbalist way to take them in a tea or a tincture, there is no real side effects unless it's some kind of bowel detox or liver detox, the body getting rid of waste, really. And a few of these plants that are world renowned are uña de gato, which is Uncaria tomatoso, which is also known as cat's claw, world famous plant. Also croton lecheri, which is Sangre de Drago, also known as dragon's blood. These plants are extremely powerful, so powerful, pharmaceutical companies tried to create drugs out of them. There was a pharmaceutical company that spent about $80 million trying to make croton lecheri into an antiviral herpes drug. And the more they extracted the one alkaloid to go after the virus, the more deadly it became. So you can't just take all the components out. And this is, this brings back, an interesting point for me. We have a basic fundamentalist, a puritanical, Christian view in this country, and which, has a bit of roots in the belief in God. However, these same types of people are out there making the laws and injecting vaccines into children and all sorts of other things, and they are forgetting that maybe God created a good immune system. Maybe God created a good pharmacy that was useful. Maybe these things, on the earth are extremely useful, and it's man himself that is actually utilizing things in a negative or evil way. And so, I always like to point that out when people, start bashing herbs or natural medicine or, even vaccines. And I ask people, do you believe in God? And a lot of people do, but usually it's through the religions. They don't have a direct connection. And they don't make that correlate, that connection to our God-given immune system, this vehicle, this human vehicle that's so powerful and majestic. We haven't even tapped into it. So, I'm a big picture guy, so you can say one thing and I'm going to go, I'm going to go big picture and really tie it into the roots of mankind and earth and, where we're at. Because I think it's a very important time in human history right now. Does that make sense, Alex?
Oh, that definitely makes sense, and it draws me to the point that, I work in a GNC store and we have the vitamins and supplements and whatnot, some good, some bad. Actually, I think they're changing for the better right now because we're getting a lot more organic substances in. But the one thing I do hear all the time is actually the government is trying to pretty much, the drug companies are lobbying to actually shut down these shops, because you could get the same stuff in my store for $5 and you could go to the pharmacy and go pay $80 for it. For instance, like niacin for your blood thinner. I mean, I heard Pfizer wanted to patent that and take it off the market, and that's why a lot of Walgreens and CVS's these days carry niacinamides, which aren't actually the same thing as niacins, and they don't do the same cause. But it's ridiculous that they're going to go through these so many feats to pretty much make a dollar, where it really comes down to, and it's the corruption, and it's sad. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you know, it is ridiculous, and I think most people are waking up to that. I don't give it too much attention because I feel that, you know, a rotten apple is going to implode inside. The system is corrupt. All systems are defunct right now. They're unsustainable, and they're not equitable, and that's going to come home to roost. We can only drop so many bombs on other countries trying to go after natural resources without that really coming home to affect us. And it does come home to affect us. It's evident. I live in Santa Monica. There's over 4,000 Iraqi veterans out there. You know, what we do to our soldiers. We like to wave the flag on 4th of July and 9/11 and this, that, and the other thing. Why don't you come down to Santa Monica and see where the soldiers actually live, and the post-traumatic stress disorder that they're suffering through, and really, you know, what we do for our soldiers. And so, and a lot of this is again, this is intertwined with, you know, corporate interests, you know, oil, pharmaceutical companies, agribusiness, chemical companies, weapons manufacturers, you know, bankers. This is all intertwined in the current dominant systems that we have on the planet. That's why I teach what I do, because you can go big picture on it, but at the end of the day, the only real estate you have dominion over is your own health. And so if you're not taking care of that, there's nothing you can advocate. A few of the guys at the Elliott Hulse non-job conference, you know, asked me, you know, what should I do for my business? What should I do, you know, this, or what's the next? You know, the first thing to do is just become healthy, because you're going to stick out like a sore thumb. You know, get down to real holistic health. Clean out your kidney, colon, liver, eat only organic food, source good water. That way you become an instrument for change for other people. Not only when you're in their presence, they will see that you're a healthy specimen, but then they'll also know that you know your stuff, and you can help them source food, you can help them source water, you can become an advocate. And then your business just takes off by osmosis. And so, but if you don't have that part in the beginning, and, you know, people got pimples all over their face, and they're overweight, and they're preaching, you know, health and fitness stuff, then you're just another talking head on the internet. And there's plenty of those. In fact, there's plenty of doctors with PhDs and written books that aren't in shape. So it doesn't matter what theory that they have. If they can't pull it off in their own human laboratory, what use is it? So, you know, that's why I think it's very important really just to become healthy. I lectured at the Occupy movement in Los Angeles, and, you know, there was plenty of people with poster signs. And again, it goes back to the same thing. If you're overweight, you got pimples, and you're not taking care of yourself properly, and you're complaining about the, you know, the 1%. Look, we're all connected. We're all part of the 100%. So it's our responsibility to take our brothers and sisters that are out of balance and not understanding, to take them back in and integrate them into society, 1%, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it. But the fact of the matter is these protesters were complaining about the man, about the banking, about the this, that, and the other thing. And the fact of the matter is they were shoving Cheetos in their mouth, or Burger King. I saw Burger King, you know, McDonald's, you know, food wrappers all over the place and stuff, and I'm like, you guys don't have a pot to piss in. You know, you're drinking the man's food while you're protesting the man. They're sitting there back there on their television just laughing at that. You know, you got to start with yourself. You got to look in the mirror first, and you got to start with yourself. You know, and hold that light, and then people will be attracted to that light.
It's so true. I mean, just going to the stores or eating their food, you're just feeding the problem. Is really what's happening, and people don't know the difference between good water, bad water. I mean, I'm even drinking a bottle of water right now, unfortunately. Even though I do drink reverse osmosis as much as I can at work, and I add a little bit of Himalayan pink salt into it. I believe I got that from you actually on one of your videos. I don't have one of those remineralizers. I've kind of searched for them, just not in the money range yet to afford one. But I do have a reverse osmosis, and adding a pinch of the sea salt in there, pink Himalayan salt, that remineralizes it, correct?
Yes, it does, and I recommend Real Salt. It's one of my sponsors. They own Redmond Clay as well. Two great products, and they have a toothpaste. They've got a sports electrolyte supplement, but they own the mine in Utah, so you don't have to go to the Himalayas. The thing about the Himalayan salt is you want to source it and make sure that there's no C4 explosives residue on it, because as you know, it's a third world country. And if they're just getting salt out of the mine, then they're going to do it as easy as possible. And so, test your Himalayan salt if you're going to do it for, C4 explosives, or at least contact the company where you got it from and ask them for the report. And so otherwise, just support a nice domestic company out of Utah, Real Salt. They have phenomenal 72 trace mineral natural salt that comes from a salt mine. Celtic sea salt's another good one, and the Hawaiian's good as well. And so, yes, that will help remineralize it. Reverse osmosis will zero it out, so it'll zero the contaminants out. Fluoride, chlorine, chloramide should get most everything out. The only thing that's left in a municipal water supply of RO will be homeopathic dosages of drugs, feces, and urine and like toilet paper and stuff. So spring is the best if you can afford it, or you can source it, and you can go on findaspring.com for a spring that's close to you. And so water is very important. And so, but RO is probably the next best thing as far as zeroing the contaminants out.
What do you think all the fluoride and the chlorides do in the water? I mean, even the GMOs. What do you think this is doing to people on a big scale, to their minds, their bodies, to nature? I mean, I feel like it could be making people more docile with these chemicals and everything that they're trying to put in our food and water supply.
Well, my advice is just go out to the mall. Go out to, I live in Santa Monica, close to Venice Beach, so I get to see tourists from all over the world. Just go look at people. I mean, my favorite pastime is people watching. Look at people. People are asleep. They're not healthy. They're asleep. They're anesthetized. Or they're all doped up on their digital communications. And don't get me wrong, I use digital communications myself. But I live near a shopping place in Santa Monica. It's popular, and I go down, walk through there sometimes. I mean, people are all doped up on regular, commercial stuff. It's rare that I come across a person that's lit up, that has a lot of energy, that's clear, that knows that knows what's going on, is educated beyond the educational system, and is actually utilizing their intelligence. So, I think it's self-evident where we're at in human history. 70% of the American people are obese or overweight. That's a stressed body. And so, and someone who's that stressed, they're not really going to either want to deal with it. They don't want more stress, so they don't deal with it. And then you can anesthetize yourself with either digital communications or video games or consumerism or any number of addictive things to do, like eating the food that's very addicting as well, that's making people sick. So, and I think Morgan Spurlock had that in his movie, Super Size Me. He was addicted to the food he was getting from the fast food chains. When he didn't have it, he'd get headaches, and then he would eat it, and he would feel better. You know, he almost got kidney failure filming that movie. 30 days on straight junk food, renal failure. I mean, that's basically looking at death right there. So this is what you have. However, you know, I say a lot of stuff. I'm an eternal optimist. I say, you know, you look at the yin yang aspect, the dualistic aspect of this third dimension that we live in. I say we're going through all this darkness just to wake ourselves up. You know, it's darkest before dawn, and you know, I think we took the red pill. We went to sleep, and this is just the big cosmic joke. You know, we're awakening because look what is happening on the internet. People like Elliot Hulse and Paul Chek now have a voice, and they're getting out there and they're spreading holistic messages, life affirmative messages. People like me can get out there and teach people on a much bigger level. And at the end of the day, I'm not really teaching anything. I'm really just, you know, lifting the veil of like, here's the natural world. It's awesome, you know. Jump in some great water and eat some clean food, you know, and take care of your body and move your body. So these are just basic principles. And it's like, and it's so funny. It's like, you got to point that out now as opposed to just living it. So.
Yeah, I was at the non-job seminar as well, and Elliot clearly went into that. I was talking to him outside of dinner, and it's pretty much like, you know, you're shining the flashlight on something. You're lighting it up for them, and you're saying, hey, look what I see. Do you want to see it too? So it's a huge thing to lighten people's day or lighten people's life. I don't really want to say the word illuminated, but you're illuminating people to the bigger picture of things, and just a happier, more, what's the word I'm looking for, more vital life in the end. And, you know, it takes a little bit of time, especially when you've built up all these preconditioned ideas, these symptoms in your body, and you got to kind of flush all those out. So that leads me to my next question. What is your main thing that you would do to change someone, to help them feel better in their body, detox, flush everything out? What are some of the main first steps you would tell someone new to take?
Well, you know, the first thing to do is look in the mirror and really get honest with yourself and ask yourself, is this who I want to be? And I'd get naked too, because it really helps to get naked and really see all of you. And then just ask, is this who you want to be, or do you want to change? Because change has to come from within. And that's the only time I can really help people, is when they come to me. Ultimately, you know, my time is valuable, so people have to spend a lot of money to work with me, and so that's usually a qualification, or you know, what do you call that? It's like a pre-qualification. Otherwise, you know, I can give advice all day long, but if people don't apply it, you know, if they don't have a stake in the game, then it's like pissing in the wind. They're not going to do it anyways. So the first thing I have people do is look in the mirror and ask what they really want, and then from there, you know, I do like using shortcuts, and so I've been utilizing cleanse and detox, and I know that that's the way I've kept my body looking as good as it has for the past 25 years. And so cleanse and detox, flushing the liver, flushing the kidneys, cleansing the colon, you know, bowel cleanses. They're excellent. You know, juicing every day to put a lot of micronutrients into your body, utilizing superfoods. These are things that I find important and valuable because it's worked for me. So fasting can jumpstart your health, and especially if someone's got some weight to lose. the thing is we live in a society that if you're overweight, people just want to think that they can exercise it off. But most people are, an overweight body is a stress body. So if you throw a person like that into a strenuous exercise program, that could just stress them out even more. And so, and that's not balanced, and that can hurt people in the long run. So, I like to put people on walking programs and very basic Tai Chi, something that they can move their whole body systematically. Walking is the best thing. It's the way we're designed to move through time and space. The other thing is switching over to organic food. Those things right there, boom. If people would just do that, religiously and drink high quality water and get to bed by 10, their life would change dramatically. And so, and then from there you can start looking at the rest of your lifestyle, the job that you're creating, the dream that you have. So first thing is looking in the mirror and figuring out what you want. You could call that a dream, or part of your dream. And so, and then the next part, is really cleaning out the organs and getting into some systematic exercise program and eating organic food.
So, okay, I'm gonna have to do a detox myself soon. I'm definitely in need of a detox. I eat as organic as I guess I've let myself lately, because I could eat as organic as I want. It's just the process of doing it. And I know I'm not perfect yet. I'm new into this whole journey, so I'm just taking my baby steps, just taking it as it comes and figuring out things on the way. But what would you say is a habit that you've created, besides the eating and everything, that's helped you stay strong through all this? A lot of people probably ridicule. A lot of people ridicule me. A lot of people probably ridicule you for what you're doing. What's the one thing that you do to kind of step away from everything and regather yourself?
Barefoot walking in nature. That's my medicine. That's probably one of my number one medicine. I can get out into nature. I live in Santa Monica, California, on the bluffs near the beach. It's very important that I get out there and I move my body. I could be on my bicycle sometimes. I could be walking barefoot on the beach or barefoot in the park. But pretty much being outside in nature and moving my body, that's the number one habit, because it gets you in your body. Right now we're in the information age. We're even moving beyond the information age, but a lot of us are trapped in our heads. And so, getting in the body and that type of movement, being outside and just, being around, other people and your environment. And so I know everybody doesn't have the same access. In fact, I'm staying with my father right now in Phoenix. I'm out here working with some of my colleagues. And, he lives in the middle of a neighborhood that, I don't like to drive in my car. I don't like to have to be in my car. But I've got to drive, 15 minutes to the mountains. And then it's amazing once I get out there, and I usually go out there at least once a day. And if I don't, my consciousness suffers. I feel it, I need my energy from the earth. I need my energy from the nature spirits. I require that.
Yeah, I live in Chicago over here, so we're just filled with a bunch of, especially in the suburbs, about 30 minutes west of the city, and we're just filled with housing, merchandise places, retail stores, restaurants, this, that. There's not really too much areas around here besides forest preserves, and if you go out west, you get to the plains, that people can do these things. And I think a lot of people suffer when it starts becoming, majority of our populations live in urban areas, especially these days. And I think it's choking them off from the real life that's out there. I know when I go to the forest preserve down over a little bit west from us, and I go on for a hike, and I'm going to have to start doing the barefoot walking. I've seen some of your videos on that, and I actually get mentored by a doctor, and she's all into Paul Chek and Sean Croxton. I'm going to tell her to check you out now. But she tells me to go out barefoot walking, and she's got this beautiful property. And every time I go over there now and we sit down for mentoring, I always say, hey, Teresa, can I take a walk around the property? And she's got streams and hills and little cliffs and whatnot over there. And just to breathe in the air and to feel the nature around you, it's humbling, but it's very relaxing on your body to actually kind of let go a little bit and go explore a little bit, because everyone needs a little bit of exploration, I think, in their life, and everybody's just stuck, you know, looking at the screen or this screen, or they're not getting out there anymore. They're not projecting themselves, I think, as mankind's kind of supposed to do. We're supposed to connect, and I know this internet connects us a little bit more, but we're losing the connection in between human to human on a personal, in-person, physical level. I mean, would you agree?
Yeah, well, yes, to each other, and then also the earth. And that's one thing I like to point out with my work, you know, in the Amazon, the environment and health in general. You know, that's why I'm an activist. We are nature. We are intrinsically interconnected. We're in symbiotic relationship with nature. And so you can't separate that. And so recognizing that, you know, is good for your health, and then getting out there and reconnecting. Because yeah, all this artificial intelligence, this digital communication, it serves a purpose, but it doesn't feed our soul. It doesn't feed us. There's certain things in nature that have nutrition, you know, clean air, wild water, sunlight. These things have nutrition for our bodies. And so it's very important to get out there and get the frequency and vibration of these energetics, these nature energetics, into our own, you know, consciousness. You know, you live near Chicago. I mean, ultimately, you know, being out on the lake there, you know, that's enough of a remote area that people can get some form of, you know, nature, even Central Park in New York City. And that's why I live in Santa Monica. I live in a dense metropolitan area, but it backs up into some of the biggest wilderness in the world, the back of the Pacific Ocean there. And so, I think that's, you know, that's important. The other thing that people aren't really factoring in right now is that digital communication is having huge repercussions, ramifications on our health, energetically, consciously, because cell phone communications is from microwaves. And so you've got electromagnetic frequencies, you've got electromagnetic radiation. And so all these things are major factors. Plus you have voltage, wattage, you know, you got laptop computers, you've got all this stuff goes into your body. Well, that's a form of fire. And you know, fire creates inflammation, and inflammation is another major issue that we're dealing with right now. So I think it's imperative to get out there and ground into the earth, you know, at least once a day. So,
what I got a quick question. I've asked a couple of people this, and I've asked my mentor this, and she's kind of sketchy, but she really doesn't. She hasn't looked too far into it. I'm wondering if you have. Have you ever looked into Ormus? White gold powder, Ormus, pretty much all the electrical signals that we have around here. You know, I put my phone in my ear, you know, I'm going to have electromagnetic signals coming through my body. Supposedly, it kicks out a lot of the natural metals that are supposed to be in us. And they say when you don't have those metals in you anymore, you start losing connection, like that energy flow into your body. This electromagnetic field that we put out there almost diminishes, I guess, in a sense, through these electronic devices that are actually pushing these metals out of our body. And we need to find a way, and the normal way should be, of course, eating the food naturally grown in the soil because it has the metals in it. But have you ever heard of Ormus, or like white gold powder, the alchemist, or the philosopher's stone, or anything like that?
Yes, I have. In fact, you know, I've known a bunch of alchemists to make it, and I've been in the superfood industry for about 10 years. The company I worked with before, we brought Amazonian herbs out of the jungle, and so that was one of the last places on earth to have virgin soil. And so all the complete mineral matrix is in that soil. So you get your monoatomic elements, your gold and platinum and palladium and these other highly conductive minerals. And then when you take these things into your body frequently, it raises your frequency and vibration. So ultimately that's why I like superfoods, because superfoods have a high mineral content. They have a high vitamin and micronutrient alkaloid content, things that aren't available in the regular commercial food supply, or there's less of them. And so when you're taking superfoods, they can chelate heavy metals, they can add minerals to your body, they can add electricity to your body, they can feed your glands and organs, they can target, the liver has over 900 functions. If the body doesn't have the proper nutrition, your liver isn't going to function very optimally. And how's that going to weigh on your consciousness? I feel like shit, right? And that's where you get the whole zombified, human culture out there that's just anesthetized, looking at their phone, driving in traffic to a job that they, don't like, that's antithetical to their core values. And so yeah, Oramus is another element. I say eat, super high quality food and use the real salt that I recommended. If you get a good source of Oramus and you can afford that supplement, then go for it. If not, supplement your diet with, some of the great superfoods out there. There's wheatgrass, there's spirulina, there's maca, there's a multiplicity of superfoods on the market. Just make sure that when you're buying anything, to source the highest quality and ideally organic, wild, from a reputable source, and flip the bottle over and read the other ingredients. Like if it says it's organic or this, that, that's fine, but just read other ingredients. Things like magnesium stearate and sodium benzoate and natural flavors. These things are, natural flavors is a pseudonym. It could include MSG, monosodium glutamate, in there, which is a neurotoxin and very detrimental to people's health. And depending on who you are, it affects you differently. So, be aware. And there's only a handful of great companies out there. Source from them. Get your micronutrients from them, and then eat as much as you want. The great thing about superfoods is you can take them on the go. And if you're at work, instead of your blood sugar dipping, you can have a superfood meal replacement. Something to that effect. And then, besides that, eating real good grass-fed animals and good animal fats as well. So back to the Oramus. Oramus, yes, it has some intrinsic value if you're getting it from a good source. But also a lot of, superfoods are going to have those type of constituents in it. So stay hydrated, stay mineralized, stay nutrified.
I like that. I like nutrified. Okay. One more question here. Actually, two more questions. One's going to be about you. What do you think about intermittent fasting? I know you like fasting, and I've picked up on intermittent fasting, actually. What I do in the morning, I actually take a superfood drink. I add it with coconut butter, organic coconut butter, for some fats to actually absorb the nutrients a little bit better. And then I add a little bit of grass-fed organic protein in it. And then I drink that in the morning, and I do not eat again for like another 11 to 12 hours, and then I'll eat a nice big organic meal with some veggies, a little bit of rice, and some meat of my choice. What do you think about intermittent fasting? What do you think about how many meals you should eat in a day? How does it affect the brain? I know on my behalf, I think a little bit clearer when I'm not eating a lot during the day. You're just more in tune with yourself. So what's your take on that?
Well, I recommend that people get very in tune with their own body. There's a lot of information, misinformation, disinformation, people's theories, conjecture, all sorts of stuff. Breakfast is the most important, meal of the day. I think Dr. Oz even says that. okay, whatever. And, you know, breakfast, you could also, it could mean anything when you break the fast. So if I eat at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, that's my breakfast, you know? So look, everyone's got their own theory and conjecture. A good marker to go by is having balanced meals of carbohydrates, vegetables, and proteins. Well, fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. Somewhat of a balanced meal plan for that, maybe 3 times a day. That's a good marker, but that doesn't mean anything. It depends on your energy output. The days that, you know, I do deadlifts or maybe I'm meditating more or laying around the house, restoring my own body and sleeping all day, I'm going to eat less. Or sometimes I want to sharpen my mind and I want to do an intermittent fast or a dry fast, or I'm doing a 10-day cleanse. So the fact of the matter is I keep my metabolism really on point. I believe that when we were out in the wild, that 3 meals a day, that's kind of utopian. Look at some of these shows that guys are actually living in the wild. You know, when are they eating? Sometimes not for a couple of days. You know, and then when they do, it's feast. You know, look at the Nat Geo series, the guys in Alaska. And then look at Mick Dodge out there in the Pacific Northwest, the guy that lives in the rainforest. You know, they don't cover all his meals, but the fact of the matter is he's not eating all the time. You know, and when he does, you know, he's out there catching fish. And when he catches a ton of fish and he's hungry, he eats it. So, you know, we've got to look at kind of the way we were before we were industrialized and or before farming. So this is the way the human genome tract, the human genome and the digestive tract is built. So I think a lot of the theories around nutrition before the internet were all based on industry and, you know, written by either government officials that worked for agribusiness companies or grain companies. You know, that's basically red meat is bad for you. I mean, all these concepts, these false concepts that got into our culture, you know, ended up causing a lot more problems. We are 70% obese right now, 70% overweight or obese. That is beyond epidemic proportions. 25, diabetes, I said on my YouTube channel one time, we're at epidemic proportions. Somebody came back and told me, no, we're not. It's only 8%. 8% of the American population is 25 million people. I mean, Jesus Christ. And that's people that are documented. You know, not everybody that has diabetes is going to go to the doctor. So the fact of the matter is we've got major health issues, and a lot of it has to do with people's confusion around what food is. And that's why I love Sean Croxton's JERF movement, Just Eat Real Food. I mean, that's the fact of the matter. If you're eating legitimate, real food, unpackaged vegetables, you know, from the farmer's market, grass-fed meats, free-range chickens straight from the farmer, you can eat whatever you want and you will be healthy. Trust me on that. You know, so the fact of the matter is most people aren't doing that. The amount of clients that tell me I eat healthy, you know, why are you coming to me? And so, and then, you know, I eat healthy, I shop at Trader Joe's or Whole Foods. That doesn't mean anything to me. I open up the cabinet, it's all packaged, canned, packaged, you know. So the fact of the matter is we have to evaluate back to what food is, and it's not that hard. It's like, you know, here's a vegetable, and you know, here's some meat that came from a farmer, you know, and that's pretty much it. And so if we all did that, we could change the world overnight. That's why I have a lot of faith, and I really like the paleo movement, because it has a certain level of intelligence in the right direction. So back to what everyone should eat every day. When you're eating meals, it's good marker to have some proteins, some vegetables, and some fats. It's going to help everything metabolize and create fuel in your body better. Intermittent fasting is great. See see what helps you run optimally. I just did a dry fast a couple of weeks ago. It was 36 hours. I did no water, no food, no water. It was great. The second morning when I woke up, I definitely felt like I had hit a wall and it was time to start drinking some water. However, it was great. I've done up to 17 days on juice. I think that was a little excessive. I think I lost some muscle. It was about 10 years ago I did that. But other than that, I do liver flushes and kidney flushes, and I'm working with a 10-day cleanse right now that has pre-digested amino acids. It's excellent for any kind of veteran or rookie who's never done a cleanse before because it helps stave off muscle wasting and blood sugar balance. So my advice is really figure out what works for you and go out and try some things. If you're overweight, you look down and you're like, well, let's see what happens if I go on a water fast for a day or 2 days. Let's just see what happens. Let's have this be a mental exercise or a spiritual exercise. Let's take it to the next level and watch what happens to your mind and the games we play with our mind. So, fasting's a tool. To go without is to go within. It's a spiritual, endeavor. Now people are just doing cleanses because they want to lose weight and they want a shortcut, to lose weight. And so it's good to jumpstart and reboot, but it's not a long-term solution. Long-term solution is organic food.
Yeah, it's all about getting everything in the way, the package that nature made it in. That's, the one thing. I work with supplements a lot, and I still tell people, I'm like, your biggest thing is what you eat. And that needs to be your biggest thing that you're going to do for yourself is what you eat. I mean, I have people that come in, oh, I take shake after shake. I'm like, dude, you cannot be doing all these shakes in your day.
Well, let me stop you right there. I've got a 22-year-old nephew, and he was on my Facebook, and I couldn't believe his aunt told me that they got, pray for him because he's having his gallbladder out. I'm like, oh my God, you guys did not call me? Well, I started talking to my dad, and I followed him a little bit on Facebook over the years, and he was working out, and he was hammering these shakes. I mean, most of the stuff out there on the market is absolute fucking garbage. It is denatured. If you're taking whey supplements and they're not uber high quality from direct source from the farmer or from my friend Kip Stroden at Essential Living Foods, then you're probably getting absolute garbage. Whey only has a 17% net nitrogen utilization anyways, meaning you're only going to absorb it into your muscles about 17%. Food's a little bit more. However, the point is whatever your body's not metabolizing and uptaking, then your body's going to have to break it down and excrete it, and that takes energy. So if the food doesn't have enough energy to give you energy, it's taking energy from you, then you're getting suckered into giving your money up for poison. And so also not just denatured whey, denatured protein stuff, you also want to look at hydrogenated oils. These things are a major issue that will fuck a human body up more than anything. And so, you got to be very, very clear if you're putting powdered supplements in your body. Most of the stuff on the market's garbage. That's just plain and simple.
I'll definitely agree with you there. I mean, I read the back of these labels every day, and there's like I said, we're making strides towards a different way, but you read 90% of the stuff in the store, and it's like scratching my head, like, why do they put that in there? And between the vegetables oil, the soy. I mean, how much soy can they put in something? Just
soy is cancer food, man.
Yeah.
You want to mess up your hormones? Take plenty of soy, and not to mention most of the soy, corn, and canola are all from genetically modified organisms, genetically modified crops, genetically engineered crops. These things are engineered for herbicides and pesticides. You're going to get massive chemical contamination. No wonder my cousin had his gallbladder removed. And guess what, guys? God didn't make any mistakes. So whether it's the tip of your penis or your gallbladder or your appendix, they don't need to be taken out of the body. You just need to make modifications on your lifestyle.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. And before I end up here, is there anything you have to say to any of the viewers, or is there anything you can tell us about what's up next for the Certified Health Nut? I mean, what's your next thing? Where are you going? What are you doing? We want to know more. We want to stay in tune because, I mean, you know, I'm not the only one that loves these conversations, man. I mean, these thrill me. They're so informative, intellectual. They're eye-opening. I mean, there's things that tomorrow, I have off work tomorrow too. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna go for a hike with my shoes off, or I don't know. It's kind of snowy out right now, but you know, I'm gonna go to the market. Actually, I know there's 2 farmers markets actually around here that my mentor gets her foods at, and it's totally all natural. You got to go drive out west to the farm, little shop they got in there, and all the natural stuff. And she's cooked me a couple of things from there before. You know, I gotta get back. I gotta get to that. But what's up for the Certified Health Nut?
So Certified Health Nut's big dream is global domination of holistic health, just getting the messages out there in the most concise, fun, enjoyable ways, creating edutainment or entertainment. So I live in LA and I make media and I work with other people that make media. And so we're just looking at creating Certified Health Nut as a global brand that makes holistic health cool and sexy, which is basically what James Dean and Marilyn Monroe and Hollywood's been doing for years. And so branding it out all around the world, and so holistic health is fun. It's like having the same thing the Kardashians are doing, but you know, making it life affirmative messages. So that's my mission. That's what I'm doing, and that's it.
Where can we find your information? Where can we find your website? Where do we go? What do we do?
Yeah, you can always go to certifiedhealthnut.com. I'm working on the revamp of that, and so that's my main page. And then I update everything on social media. So I got my YouTube channel, Certified Health Nut. It's where I've got most of my content. Then Facebook, I'm pretty active over there. I've got my page, Certified Health Nut, and my personal page that a lot of people follow me, Troy Casey, and then Twitter and Instagram as well. And so if you guys go over onto my Facebook page, like it, and I have a $50 gift card, so anyone can try the superfoods that I work with, organic, non-GMO, pure superfoods. And so go over to my Facebook page and make a comment there, and I'll give you a $50 gift card.
Well, thank you for that, Troy, and thank you for speaking with us all tonight. It was very informative. I loved it. I'm sure everybody's going to love it. I'd love to have you back again as well. Hopefully we could do some more interviews in the future and possibly work together one day. I mean, this is a collaboration on everybody's part. We all have to, we all have to take part of this. I mean, if you're sitting there at home, grab a camera, make some noise. Like, let's turn this up. We got to make it fun and sexy, like Troy said over here. But
that's the truth, man. I'm looking for other people to partner with. So if you guys got game out there and you want to throw down with Certified Health Nut, connect with me. I'm building teams all over the world. I've got teams in Europe. I've got a whole bunch of Czech colleagues, fitness professionals that I work with. And so I'm always looking for good partners.
Well, thank you very much, Troy, and good luck to the Certified Health Nut, and I will be talking with you soon. So, namaste.
Assalamu alaikum.
Peace out. You see that little button below that says subscribe? Well, click it if you like my video.